Imagine a brain that's high-speed train racing down the tracks full of ideas, thoughts, and distractions all at once. That's a glimpse into what it's like to live with ADHD. Today, let's explore not just the challenges, but also the incredible strengths that come with the unique way of thinking. Each person is uniquely different. And today we're going to be discussing how one's mind works with ADHD. As I stated, each person acts differently, and as well their brain, personality. But those with ADHD, their brain works a tad bit different than normal. What is ADHD, you ask? Well, ADHD stands for attention deficient hyperactivity disorder and falls under neurodevelopmental disorders. With ADHD, affects one's emotions, impulses, and attention. The brain structure. In the article ADHD versus non-ADHD brain structure, it states by researchers that has been reported that people with ADHD have or had smaller brain volume in the 5 subcortical areas, and their brain was considered smaller than normal. However, this does not affect one's intelligence, and they're not considered not smarter than normal brains. The areas in the brain known as the amygdala and the hippocampus are smaller in people with ADHD. That's the area that affects emotions. It is also noted that certain parts of the brain are receiving less blood flow, which means less brain activity. And another area that affects those with ADHD, their dopamine can be either low or lack dopamine at all. Receptors are a little bit different as well. With ADHD, there's a stigma. There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes down to ADHD, and it can give the wrong impressions to the caregivers and others, such as if some people think it just affects boys only. Some people think it's not a real disorder, or it's caused by bad parenting, or it's because of over-medicated. Now, an article breaking down the stigma surrounding ADHD, it mentions that the symptoms like impulsivity and inattention affect everyday functions and interactions with others. To others, they may come off as impolite, immature, unreliable, and emotionally dysfunctional. As stated earlier, everyone is different and reacts differently, and this goes for those with ADHD as well. With the misconceptions that leads to those who are caregivers, the misconceptions can lead to those who are caregivers and those who show symptoms not wanting to seek assistance. In children, a lot of people believe that kids showing signs of ADHD are just being kids, related to the topics of being brushed off. Not only can ADHD affect children, but also affects them in the future when they are adults and can lead to negative outcomes with others and their mentality. The solution: a doctor must diagnose the person to receive the proper help. Some ways to receive the assistance is to take medication or to seek behavioral therapists or therapy. This all depends on the parents or the caregivers or those who are affected with ADHD. There are even times where people and caregivers are against the medication or any help at all because they believe it's not real. My daughter, for example, was diagnosed recently with ADHD. Throughout the school, the teachers kept bringing it up, but in my head, everyone kept telling me that my parents were saying, oh, she's just being a kid. But the teacher said otherwise. She kept getting distracting herself. She's behind in her grade. I took her to the doctor, and they told her she has ADHD. The medication, in my case, is helping my daughter focus more, and then she's receiving a positive outcome. However, this only affects certain people. Medications vary by person. Some need stronger ones, some need lower dosage, some need different types of medication, or some just don't like how it makes them feel. There's always going to be a side effect with medication. However, in the conclusion, those who don't understand ADHD will usually go through the stigmas and assume things rather than getting educated, which can make those with ADHD not seek help or give a bad impression to caregivers. Getting the proper help and assistance can help those mentally with peers and their upcoming future. People who don't get this treated by doctors or parent caregivers that brush it off gonna take a toll with people in future jobs, with peers, friends. It could cause depression in the future if not dealt with. But each person is different and they handle it differently. Medication could lead to depression, depending on the type of medication. It's always best to speak to a doctor, and from there on, they'll help you and guide you. And these are my references. Thank you.